All right, now I'm starting to record. So let's see. Let's see. Try that. Well, this is not letting me change screens this morning. It's different than it was yesterday. We'll get it to work, but it just may take a couple minutes, okay? So let's see. Has what you see now, has it changed?
It has. Now I see the Outlook, the mail screen.
All right, did it go away now?
No, I still see the Outlook mail screen and then who we're connected to.
All right. I'm going to have to stop that share and start another share. Let's see. All right. That's not good. Come on. Well, right now it's not letting me add anything else. If I go back again, I bet you're going to see the black screen now, correct?
No, it just changed from the black screen back to your Outlook mail.
Yeah, and what I need, well, we'll try it this way. Let's just see how this works. All right, I'm going to see if I can change it in a minute. Right now, it looks like Angie and Keegan again are the only two on here. Maya, are you there? Dominic, are you there? All right, then we're just going to keep going as though, you two are the only two here. Now, this morning, you may have seen it already. I did send you a copy. I sent you a copy of the labs that we did yesterday. So you now have the original and you have the copy. What I am going to attempt to do right now is I'm going to attempt with you to make changes to the, in fact, I'm going to bring up my finished copy of the flashcard lab. All right. And we're going to take a look at that and how to do it. All right. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of time, maybe a half an hour or so, for you to try to see if you can start to work on the other one that we did, the bank login one. All right. Then we're going to look at that one. I've got those two working. Then we're going to talk about that one, number 2, that's ugly as heck. And we're going to talk about how we're going to build the interface for that one. So today the plan is, hopefully what we'll be able to do is get through number 1, that flashcard example, and number 3, the bank login, and have each one of you build the interface for number 2. And you may or may not remember, but let's see, I've got it here. Number 2 is that store inventory that had all that different stuff to it. Then tomorrow what we will do is we will go over that store inventory one as a class, and we will go over the game break one as a class. Then I will give you some time for you to work on or at least try the job estimate and the tile estimate one. All right, that's 5 and 6. So then Thursday we'll go over those 2 as a class. And I've started working on a practice test for you that I want to make sure is working. I've got a working copy of it, and I want to send that out to you on Thursday. And then what I'll do is Friday, we will take a couple hours and go over that test very, very, very slowly as a class. All right. And then again, next Monday, you'll have your hands-on test for chapter 12. Hopefully everything I just said to you made sense. All right. So I'm going to come back again. Let's see. I'm going to come in now and I'm going to go into here. And here. And I'm going to click stop share. And see, now it's not, that's the problem. It's, let's see, screen share. I don't want it to say that. I want it to come up here. Oh, I didn't have these problems yesterday. I'm sorry about this. Let's see.
Worries.
I've got my screen up right now, or I'm trying to get it up. Let's see if we get, whoops, talk on it. All right, tools. All right, so I'm trying something different right now. You will have to tell me in about 10 seconds. Oh, why are you doing that? As soon as I go to share screen, it's supposed to give me the screen that I have. I don't want this thing with my name on it.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
You cannot minimize Zoom while you're recording. I understand that. I don't want to minimize. Okay. See if it lets me do this.
Took me a second to figure that out.
Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit the share button. And what I want to do with the share button is I'm trying to bring my screen up and it's not coming up. Now, I had no problem with this yesterday. It worked just fine. There was not any kind of problem. All right, what do you see now on the screen?
Your screen.
Now we see video. Video Studio. The code.
Visual Studio?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, then if you would please, and hopefully it's, I'm going to be able to go up and down. What I'd like you to do is, if you haven't done so already, I emailed you a folder this morning called labs-copy. It's a copy of the one that we had before. All right, unzip that to your desktop and open up the, I've got the wrong one up here. Little critter does. All right, open up the one that says lab1_flashcard. I'll give you a couple minutes. So unzip it and then open up that one, because you're going to have to follow along here. As always, when we're going through this, if something doesn't make sense or your screen goes funky or whatever, please stop me. Once you've got that Lab 1 flashcard thing up, just please say, I've got it up or whatever. Just, I'm there or whatever.
I have it.
Yeah, got it too.
All right. You may or may not, and this is too hard to switch back and forth between windows, but what we need to do on here now is I want you to go and right mouse click, go over to your Solution Explorer and right mouse click on the name of the project. So go over to your Solution Explorer and right mouse click here on the name of the project, not the name of the solution, but the name of the project. So right mouse click on there, choose Add, go down to the bottom and choose Class.
Okay.
Any problems with that?
No.
No.
All right. And you want to, where it comes up and it looks like this, I want you to type in the word, one word, flashcard with a big F and a big C. F, capital F, L-A-S-H, capital C-A-R-D. And then when you get done, hit enter or click the add button. It should bring you up a brand new class that's just got a few lines in it. Okay? Any problems with that?
No.
No.
All right. So what we are supposed to do in here, now I don't know, do you two have the handout that I gave you that had the lab on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, can you look at that handout? Like I said, if I try to switch to that, I may not be able to get back to here. You want to turn to the front page, and on the front page, all right, you've just got the picture there, but if you look at the very bottom of the front page, do you notice it says, there's a box that says flashcard? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that box, this right here, it's known as a UML diagram or a Unified Modeling Language Diagram. What you see on the top is the name of the class. That's why I had you name it the way I did. What you see in the middle, those are your two instance variables. So every flashcard will have a term and a definition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, if you look up on my screen now, can you see these two lines that I put in blue?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you look, looking back on your piece of paper then, do you notice there are two get methods but no set methods? Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, what that means is these are read-only. So what I'd like you to do is basically copy what I have there in blue. So these are, again, you can put this in if you want to. These are, whoops, these are our read-only instance variables. You don't really need to have the comment there, but if it helps you, please add it. And let me know once you've got those 3 lines, or 2 if you left the comment out typed in, please.
All right, I've got it.
Okay.
I'm still typing. Is there a way to split the screen so that you can see your screen and what's on my screen
No,
at the same time?
not that I know of. The only way that we could do that is you would have to download Zoom, and I'd have to watch a video on how you can go back and forth.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Okay.
So what we have just done is we have made 2 instance variables. Now, what Mr. Smith did when he wrote this lab was he followed kind of standards, which says for these instance variables, sometimes what people do is they start them with an underscore to show it's an instance variable. Other than that, there's no special significance. We could have left the underscore off, but then it would have to be off everywhere we're using it. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we've just added these two things. This right here will hold our term. All right. So in other words, and I'm hoping this works when I switch over, do you see my blue screen now?
Yes.
Okay. That will either hold this right here, the term, and then the definition will go here, or the new term will go there. And once we put it in, then the definition will again show there. All right. So that's what we're talking about with term and definition. All right. Then underneath that, this is the constructor. So I'd like you to next put in this. That's in blue, these 5 or 6 lines. Don't worry where it says 6 references. That's just something that, if you see this, don't worry about that. The system adds that. And Angie, to go back to your question, if you try to work on this, let's say later, and you have nothing but problems, put it in the folder, zip the folder, and email it to me, then I can look at it.
Okay.
You as well. So that's the constructor. That means when we create a new flashcard, it will be expecting a string that represents the term, and it will be asking for a string that represents the definition. All right. What that means in English, if you look up on the screen here, is in here, we cannot add a new term in here. This is only for existing terms. But if we try to add a new term, all right, if this comes up, we put the new term in here, okay, and we click add, and it's going to ask us for a definition. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then once we do add it, then it'll go into the box. So for instance, I think I told you the 5 terms we have are input, output, processing, data, and information. But so that's the 5 that are in there. If I were to come in there and add hello, and then if I typed in hello right here and I click define, it's going to say, this is going to come up then saying, I don't know that term yet. What does it mean? And let's say I put in here opposite of goodbye, and I clicked add. Then and then it's going to go back to the original screen. But now if I type hello in here and I type define, if I click the define button, it's going to say opposite of goodbye right here. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yes.
All right. What we're doing, we've already done it without using classes. All right. So why should we do it using classes? All right. And there's not a good answer. In fact, I've been reading a lot, and I mean a lot of articles lately. I've got one in front of me that I'm going to send to you. It's called Object-Oriented Programming, the $1 Trillion Disaster, in which the author says, why are we making this so much harder than it has to be? All right. But all I can tell you is, if you graduate from here, because I've got people who are graduating in May, and I've talked to most of them, and I've got 4 or 5 of them who have said, you know what, I want to be a web designer. I don't want to be a programmer. That makes absolutely no sense, because if you're a web designer, you're going to use JavaScript or jQuery. Eventually, you will be programming. And much of the work that will be done, that is done today in programming, is done using object-oriented programming. So when people say, why should I? That's the best answer I can give you, is because people are doing it. All right. And I don't know if it's going to go away anytime soon. So, all right. So we've got this. Am I right in assuming then you both have got everything up to here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then we got to put our two getters in. That's all that's left right here. Look at how small this class is. About 25 lines. So please add right underneath your constructor you just put in, please add these two getters. And if you can't hear that, I don't know if you can or not. I moved today. I moved into the bedroom because it's actually a little quieter. That said, there's a German Shepherd 2 houses down who has now seen another dog. So once you get done, we have added everything that's in that box on the bottom of the screen. We have created our class. Now we'll have to go back to our original file and make changes to that so that that file can talk to this class. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let me know when you've got everything typed in, please.
All right, I've got it.
Me too.
Okay, so when you look at this, all this is saying is, since it's a get, anytime we ask for a term, it's going to return whatever that current term is. Whenever we ask for a definition, it's going to return that current definition. All right. So let's jump back into this file right here. So bring up your form1.cs file. Once it comes up, right mouse click on it and choose view code. Now we're going to go over everything that's in here. Don't worry about typing. I'd like to walk through the entire file with you first. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I tried to not change any more than I had to. All right. First thing we did though is, if you notice here, is I kept the max length. I set it to 10 because setting it to 6 was kind of silly. Just allowing you to put in one definition. I changed it from 6 to 10 so we can now put in up to 5 more definitions. All right. I made the LCV, our loop control variable, global. You didn't have to do that. But the big thing is, this is not an array anymore. It's a list. A list works much better with what we're doing. But if you look up on the screen, please, here's the key point. We're telling it that we want to create a new list of type flashcard, which is just the class we just created. We're going to call it flashcards, and it says to make a new list. Boom. This is going to fill the list up with those 5 definitions. All right, so it'll populate the list. All right, now we've got to talk about changes. I tried to keep this as simplistic as possible. So in other words, I put code in my define button and I put code in my add button. Why? So you didn't have to go typing in hundreds of lines. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So when you click the define button, this is what we did before, and we're still doing it. I changed this from double quote to string.empty. It means the same thing. You don't have to do it, or you can do it. But it says if we don't have a term in there, give us a message box that says no new term entered into the text box, and the title will be term text box empty. It'll reset the focus and return. Guess what? That's what we already were doing. What's new is what's in this for loop. All right. In here, what we were doing before, we're saying if you find the term. Now, for just a second, as best you can, really listen to this, because I want it to make sense. What this is doing is it's saying, okay, whatever I typed into the text box for the term, and what is that? That is this term right there. Can you see where I'm going back and forth with the mouse?
Yeah.
All right. Whatever I have typed in there, I want to check through my entire list. So right now, I want it to check and see if it's this or this or this or this or this, if it's one of those terms. And the way I do that is I say, I'm trying to match. Notice I used a 2 lower. Why? Because all of these are lowercase. So it'll match perfectly. Even if I put it in an upper or mixed case, it's going to convert it to lowercase. But
So
notice
then,
notice what I'm calling now. Flashcards LCV.get term. So the get term is grabbing that term. So in other words, the first time through it's saying, okay, whatever I typed in here, whatever I typed in there, the first time through it's saying, was it input? And if it says no, then was it processing? And if it's no, it's was it output? And if it's no, it's was it data? And if that's no, it's was it information? If that's a no, then I've got a new item I want to put into the list. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay, if it finds it anywhere in here, if it does find it, it says, oh, grab the definition. So notice get term gave us that, is allowing us to check each one of the 5 terms. Get definition is grabbing the definition that goes with the current term. And as soon as it grabs that definition, it's immediately putting it into here. Okay? And then it's making that definition visible because it won't be at the beginning. In this one, I did a bunch of work in here, making stuff visible and invisible, not to confuse, but ideally to help you. All right? And then we return. If we get through the for loop and we get down to here, that means the term was not in our list. All right? So we have to check, do we have room for another term? Remember, I changed it up here so that we can now have up to 10 terms. You can change yours or you can leave it. It doesn't really matter. But either way, it's saying, hey, is there room in this list? All right? And if the count is less than max length, meaning if the number of terms I have is, in my case, is less than 10, what do I want to do? All right, well, notice what I'm doing. I'm not adding the term yet. All I'm doing is when we run this originally, all of this stuff you see right here, everything I'm drawing this thing, the circle around, I don't know that term yet. What does it mean? This text box and this button, they will all be invisible when we start to run the program. All 3 of those will be invisible. They will become visible if the term is not in there and there's room to put it in. So that's what this is doing. It's not putting it in, but it's making it ready by showing us that information. On the other hand, if the list is filled, all we're going to do is we're going to bring up a message box that says failed attempt to put a new term into a filled list box. We're going to let them know that it's filled, and we're going to grab all that information that was there, and we're going to make sure it doesn't show. All right? Then finally, because there's not really that much more text in here, this is what happens when the add button is clicked. All right? So notice we're telling it right there, this is telling it to add a new definition and term. What's a definition and a term? It's a flashcard. So we're telling the system to add a brand new flashcard to our list. And the term will be whatever we put in this text box. And the definition will be whatever we put in this text box. This text box term is this, and the text box definition will be this. All right? And I thought, well, let's not just put it in. Let's give them a message box that says, hey, your term was successfully added. and then we'll clear out our information. So notice I've got a clear bottom and a clear top here. I want you to understand what those mean. When we start to run this program, you'll see it in a minute. But when I start to run this program, you'll see this. What term do you want me to define? You'll see this text box. You'll see these two buttons. You will not see any of the rest of this. All right? So when I say clear bottom, it means if this is showing, make it invisible. I'm sorry, that's clear top. Gets rid of this. Clear bottom gets rid of these three things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we go back, that's all we're doing. Clear top says, boom, remove that stuff. Clear bottom says, remove that stuff. This is that show message box that I did. And I'm telling it when you first start what I don't want to show. So if you look up on the screen, please, and I'm going to run this. Do you see what's showing and what's not showing now? So now
Yes.
if I come through here and I type in output and I click define, there's already a definition. I think you'd agree with that. All right, I could put in the other four, but I'm not going to. I click clear, boom, you can see what goes away. Now I'm going to put in here hello. There is no definition in our list for hello. So notice when I click define, what happens? It tells me that. It says, I don't know that term. What does it mean? So I say opposite of goodbye. I'm putting in something simple on purpose. I click add. It tells me that it was added. I click OK, and it's back to here. Now if I put hello into here, I get a definition. Do you understand the sequence of events that are going on? Does it make sense? Everything that we do, I just want you to realize this. Every single thing that we do, we could have done all of it without object-oriented programming. All right? But the idea is supposedly, and this is not the greatest of examples of this, but your programs become more extensible. What that means is if they have to expand, all right, now I've got everything that's going to involve the flashcard directly in its own area. So if I made something else, let's say that instead of flashcards like this, maybe there was some other way I could use this program other than just a flashcard. You see what I'm saying? Or maybe as an example, I don't know. Maybe I want to make different kinds of flashcards. Maybe I want to make ones for, definitions of terms, but maybe I want a medical one. Maybe I want another one for sports, etc. I could make different classes, which would look fairly the same, but I could use this interface with all of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when people have asked me before, and some of my best students have said, I get this. I get what we're doing. I have no idea why we're doing it, because before we did classes and object-oriented, this made so much frickin' sense, and now it doesn't. All right? And I get that. I do totally understand that. And for me to turn around and say, well, why are you teaching it then? Because we have to, sounds really stupid. But the idea is if one or both of you were to get jobs as C# programmers or Java programmers, you're going to find that a lot of the code that you deal with is going to be code that's in classes. All right. So that said, let's go back. So please open up, if you don't have it open, your form1.cs file. All right. That's this one right here. It's got the comment in there, etc. Hopefully you've got that open already. And go down to where I've got the global constants and make the changes. And then tell me when you've got those. We'll go down. And then tell me when you got that. We'll go down. And I want to make sure that yours works. You understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'm supposed to ask you from my wife. She said I'm shouting at you. Am I shouting at you? I mean, is my voice way too loud?
No.
Okay. I said it's probably a little louder than normal because, I mean, this is a 6-year-old machine and a 6-year-old microphone that we're using. And I want to make sure you can hear it. So let me know when you're up to line 43 here, the runs when defined button is clicked.
I'm good now.
All right. I'll wait till Angie says she's ready, then we'll move it down a little bit.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. So you're going to have to make changes in your current button define. If you want to do that, you can, start there's going to be a lot of extraneous text that we put in there or code that we put in there before. And you're going to see it when we do the next one too. All right. But you want to make sure when we're done, this is what we have. So if, hopefully that makes some sense. So. And again, why don't you let me know when you're up to about here on the for loop when you both are here, and then we'll move it down again. Maya or Dominic, did either one of you ever get on? Hello? Guess not.
I texted Maya yesterday asking her if she was still gonna attend class if it was online. She said she was, and I told her to email you.
She did email me, and well, that isn't true. She texted me back because I got her number and I texted her. She texted me back saying, yes, I'm still in the class and I'll be there for online. And like I said, I had to contact Jim Boyd, who works out in St. Louis, and he had access to the St. Louis computer. He got me Dominic's cell phone. So. Just so you know, too, typically when I do these MP4s, after about an hour, I stop and then start another one. Yesterday, I went an hour and a half with the afternoon class. I did it all in one file. I don't know if we can get done with this by 10 or not, but I'm going to try to put it all in one file. It just makes it so much easier, and I'm not monkeying with all the controls on here then. Are you both up to the for loop?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And let's move that up. And again, let me know when you get up to here and we'll move it again. So all this code is inside of still. We're still in the button define.
I'm getting an error on my clear bottom where it says clear bottom there.
We haven't written that yet. That's why.
Okay.
You will. You'll write it though, so don't worry about it.
All right.
Are you both caught up to here?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, then let's move some more. Again, we're still in the define button. Like I said, that's a lot of code in there, but that's just the way that I did it. But notice we're almost done now. Let's see if I can move this. Can you see you guys down here
Yeah.
in the bottom right corner? All right,
Mhm.
I'll see if I can move that out of the way a little bit. So there. Are you up to the else yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
So notice that'll end that. And then we'll go to the add and then have to put those to the clear bottom and the clear top. And those are just a few lines and we'll be finished.
Can you scroll back up just a little bit?
Is that enough?
Yeah. Okay, I'm good now.
So again, when we're done, we'll put in the add button. I don't think that's nearly as long.
Okay.
Let me know when you're up to here, both of you, please.
Okay.
I'm almost there.
All righty. And again, I'm always open to suggestions. If when we get done with this, I'm going to have you try to do the next thing on your own, and then we'll go back and we'll do it together. But as we're going through this, if you think, well, there's a better way of doing this, Jeff, email me or just say it out loud. All right.
Okay, I'm good now.
All right. And just so you know, when we're working on this stuff, this is text box term. This is text box definition. This is label definition. This is label don't know yet. And that's button define, button clear, and button add. All right. So let's go down to here. There's the whole add routine right there. In fact, let me see. There's the whole add and the whole clear. Then we'll write the other two when you get to that point. So let me know when you're down to what's on my screen, line 104, please. We're almost done then.
I'm kind of confused on where you're at right now after we just finished writing that if else statement.
After the else, we're done. We finished with the button define. So after that else, you want and that's the ending curly brace for the button define click event. So now we're up to here. We're doing the add.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to go off of that comment there that says run when add button is clicked.
There should be two right curly braces before that.
Yeah, I think I found it, but there's a lot of stuff in between, like what we just wrote and then that.
Okay. All that stuff that's in between, you should be able to get rid of it.
Okay.
All the way down to the button add click. We're going to be rewriting it right now. Sometimes when you go object oriented, you end up with less code. Sometimes you actually end up with a little bit more. So again, when you get down to the bottom here, let me know that you're there, okay? Right before the clear button.
Okay.
So are you up to the clear button? Are you both up
Yes.
there? All right.
Yes.
So there's clear top, that'll be clear bottom, and then we're just about finished. The other stuff I think you've already got written.
Should I just remove everything that's already in these functions, or?
What that's in your clear function, you mean?
Yeah, I have one in there that says.
Yeah, you should have just like a function. It's called like clear all or all fields or whatever. You can get rid of that function. Just replace it with the two that we're going to do now.
Okay.
I decided to break it up into the top and the bottom because sometimes you want to clear more stuff than others. So I thought it made more sense to do it that way. So if you stop for a second and you look on the screen here, this clear top, again, that is saying clear out whatever is in here, clear out whatever is in here, and make this thing invisible. That's what clear top is doing. Clear bottom is saying make this invisible, clear out what's in here and make it invisible, and make this invisible. All right. You both have this done?
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me know when you've got these two done. Because if you look on the screen here, all that's left then is the show message box, which you already have, and we'll fix this. There's just two more lines then. So when you get these two done, you're just about finished.
Okay, I got it.
So you're down to here?
Yeah.
All right. You still typing, Angie, or are you there that also?
Almost done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You both should have this already, correct? The show message box? And
Yeah.
I didn't change that at all, I don't think. So do you have the load event in here down at the bottom?
Yes.
All right, make sure you've got those two lines in there then. These two here. And that's everything.
I've got that loaded and it's just not at the bottom.
That's fine. Yeah, you might. To be honest with you, it probably should be at the top all the time. because load happens when you load the form into memory.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really matter where you put it as long as you've got those lines in there. Once you've got that in, save it, run it, and let me know whether or not, try to put in output or input and see if it works. And just like, probably like you too, I'm hoping and literally praying that by no later than fall, we're back in the classroom doing this.
At the top, where the global variables are,
Yeah,
I'm getting 2 errors from the list flashcard.
okay, then let's go back up and look. Up here,
Yeah, where it says list.
Mine too.
this line.
Yeah,
Okay, you got to make sure that the name of your class you did over here is flashcard with a big F and a big C. If you used a little c, you're going to get an error.
mine's the exact same.
So yours looks like this, flashcard.cs.
Yeah,
What's the error that you're getting?
it says the type or namespace name list could not be found.
Oh, okay. Take your mouse, put it over here. You get the little light bulb to come up.
Yeah,
Click on the light bulb, and you want to put in there, it'll give you a bunch of usings. You want this one, using system.collection.generic, or you can manually type that in also. That should get rid of the error. So if you look at the top of the screen, you should have the 3 using statements that are shown. List is a type of collection. All right, and I forgot to have you do that first, so. Did that fix it?
yeah,
All right, then save it, run it. And when you run it, let's just look at it together. So when you run it, does it look like this?
mine's still loading.
Okay.
Yes.
Mine looks like that.
All right, so come in here and just type in input. And then either click the define button, or you should even be able to hit enter, and you should get that.
Yeah,
All right,
Yes.
then either hit the escape key. I guess for some reason that isn't working. Click the clear button. Does it go back like this then?
yeah,
All right, then let's put in a definition we don't have. All right, so we'll put in here program. And then again, either hit enter or click the define button, and does it come up and look like this?
yeah,
All right, we'll just put in computer instructions. Something like that. Once you've got that in, hit the add button. You should get this message then. Term added to list. Term was successfully added to the list. Click OK, and you're back here. Now, if you put in program and you click define, there it is. Did that work for both of you?
yeah, mine worked.
Yeah.
All right. And what I'm going to quickly do here, just to show you, so I now have 6 terms. I'm going to put in quickly 4 more. So I'm going to put in mom and married to dad and add that. And then I'm going to put in dad and married to mom. So now I've got 9 terms in there. Program, mom, and dad are the 3 that I added. All right. So let's put in kid, child of mom and dad, and add. I think that's 10 in there now, if I counted right. So now let's put in, I don't know, GUI, and define that, and it's a graphical user interface. But notice when I click add, it says the list is already filled. You can't put in anymore. You should get the same thing if you do that. All right, do you understand the idea behind the program, and do you understand what we did, and did it work for both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then what we're going to do is let's take a break because you probably need one. But before we do, one more thing, and that is I want you to close all this, do a file, save all right, and then close your solution and bring up the LB3 one that's in the copy thing I gave you. And that one is the bank one. So it's got a little different name. All right. When I made that one, I did the other ones later. I call the other ones lab one, lab, etc. And this one was LB because that's what he had told us to call it originally. I got to check this real quick. Hopefully this won't bother anybody, but all right. I just wanted to check and make sure I didn't get any messages from Dominic or from Maya, and I have not. All right, you both said correct. You both said that you have the list of instructions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go to page 3. And right now, if I've done my time right here, I've got about 10 after 9. All right. So go to page 3, and on page 3, you see where it says account, and you see the little box or the pretty big box to the right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. What I want you to do, if you look up on the screen here, I want you to again right mouse click on the name of your project, not the solution, but the project. Right mouse click, choose add, choose class. And when you do, it'll ask you for a name. In this name box here, put account with a capital A, one word, ACCOUNT. All right. Then you should get an empty account class. We'll start up again. Again, it's 9:10. We'll start up again at 9:30. Do you hear me? 9:30. But I want you to try to write and fill up that account class. Make sense? We'll go over it afterwards if you have any trouble, but it's very similar to the one we just did. The only thing that's really new in there are the make deposit and the make withdrawal. And we'll go over all of it. I don't want you to be confused, but I want you to try it because when we take the hot on Monday, you're going to be doing it yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you, I'm going to throw it into Notepad++, but the other document that we need for it, the one you already have, which is form1.cs, I'm going to send that to you. Why? Because when you look at it, it's virtually 400 lines. We wouldn't even get that done, I don't think, by noon. So I'm going to send that to you. All right. And we'll look at that together and have you try to fold that into what you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start up again. Like I said, it's between 9:10 and 9:15. Try to do that class. Try to fill in that class by yourselves. And then we'll start meeting again at 9:30. Okay. My clock here says 9:11. That should give you time to take a break, do whatever it is you have to do, and hopefully fill in that class. Okay, so we'll start up again in 20 minutes. I'm going to leave this thing running, just so you know. Yo. Sure. Thank you. Are you guys back?
Yeah.
All right. So, two things. First, we're going to go over this class right now.
Okay.
And secondly, I have emailed you the other file, the form1.cs. Please don't do anything with it yet. All right. So please don't do anything with that. And I'll explain why when we get to that point. But let's take a look at the account class. So I'm taking for granted that you're about right here. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Angie, are you there? I think she stepped away for a second. I want to wait till she gets back. All right. So Angie, do you have your account.cs file up? Angie, can you hear me? Keegan, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Angie?
Okay, I can hear you. Sorry, I
Okay.
couldn't hear you before.
Okay. All right. So do you have your account.cs file up? This is the class file. So as we go through, I put a thing in there. Remember we talked about a minimum balance? So I put in that one constant. If you don't have that in, please put that in now.
Okay.
I did look during the break, and again, I have not been contacted by either of the other two classmates. So, all right. So these are our instance variables, and you'll notice we have 5 customers in the bank. And as far as we're concerned, we don't have any other ones. Are you with me? That's just it. We're a small bank. How's that? All right. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to put each one of these on its own line because I think it's going to be easier for you to read. You don't have to do that. All right. So these are our instance variables. Does it make sense to both of you that literally anyone who has a bank account, we're saying has a title, which is Mr. or Ms. They all have a first name. They all have a last name. They all have an account number. They all have a PIN. They all have a balance. Now, you may not have broken it up like this because that's not what your instructions said. I did a little bit more because rather than saying, hello, Mr. Smith, I thought it would be nicer to say, hello, Mr. Paul Smith. Okay, that's the only reason. So here is, so these are the instance variables. You can change yours if you have to, add those or whatever. Notice the balance is always changing. I did not make that read only. The other stuff I'm imagining is not going to change. Now, if we had things like address, city, state, zip, we might not make those read only because that may change over time. Does all that make sense, both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So here is the constructor. So I'm hoping your instance variables now look like mine. They have to, because when we get to the other file, it's expecting a title, a first name, a last name, an account number, a PIN, and a balance in that order. All right. So it's expecting it to look like this. And then here's your constructor. So again, you can, update yours accordingly. If when you get done, you've got mistakes or something you don't get, as Keegan did last time, just please ask. I'm more than happy to go over it with you. Okay, do you both have the constructor?
I'm still typing it.
All right. Are you both caught up?
I'm almost caught up.
The good news is you have all the code for the other file, so there'll be no typing. We're just going to walk through it. And I'm hoping that we're done by around 10:30 or so. Okay.
Okay, I've got it.
Are you caught up, Angie?
Just about. Okay.
All right. So don't type for a second. Let's just quickly go through the rest of this. You might have this already anyway. There's your get title. There's your get first name. There's your get last name. There's your get account number. There's your get PIN. There's your get balance. All right. I'll put those up there, but that's how all of yours should look. So there's the first three. Remember, these are read only, so they have a getter and no setter. I will tell both of you too. I realize that, first of all, I hope and pray you'll both be back next semester. But let's assume for a second, let's assume the worst. So let's assume it's fall and we still have this stay-at-home order in place. What I'm going to do for fall, I'm promising you this right now, it's on tape. Angie, for the first semester class, I'm creating a website. I'm going to give you the finished product. And then we're going to build it as a class. And for you, Keegan, we're going to do something similar, but it's going to be a Node.js project I'm going to build from scratch. I'm going to give it to you. Then we're going to spend a lot of time building it as a class. That way, when we go through this, if you have problems, you can always go back to the finished product. I think that'll work a lot better than what we have right now.
I was also wondering, what are you going to be doing for your final semester class? Like how they have to present that app at the end of the semester? How are you going to do that?
We don't know yet. One thing that we're thinking about is, or I'm thinking about, is possibly seeing if the product we're using right now, the software we're using, the Zoom, it's free and it's not even that big. So what we may end up doing is we may have each student take and have their own copy of Zoom, and then see if we can give the screen to them, where I'm not the one conducting the meeting, but it's a meeting with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can even bring in people from the outside then. That's what I'm thinking of right now. So. I mean, in the worst case, they still do their projects, but they don't present them. And I'm hoping that's not the case, because, I mean, you know, part of going through the class is presenting the project in front of a group of people. So. Do you both have these three getters?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and here's the other three. And the good news is we're halfway through this file. The bad news is we're only halfway through this file. All right. And both you just give me a shout out when you're all caught up then.
Okay, I'm caught up.
All right.
Almost.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Now, just for a second, please don't type, because I want to walk through both of these with you. I actually, when I did this, didn't do it the way I meant to, but it's one of those times where I screwed up and it's a good thing. And what I mean is, I want to show you the two different ways, the way that the make deposit was implemented and the way the make withdrawal was implemented, because they're done differently. Not just that you're adding in one and subtracting from the other, but they're done differently. So let's just walk through this. This is the make deposit. I'm assuming I'm sending in an amount. What is that? That amount is whatever I enter in here. Does that make sense? And for the withdrawal, it'll be whatever I enter in here. Do both those make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just saying that's what I'm passing in, is that amount. All right. And I'm assuming their deposit right now, I could have set it to 0, but I just set it to that. And it's no big thing. But I used a try catch here. All right. And what the try catch does, notice that if I run this, I'm hoping that this works the way I think it does. 1, 2, 3 dash 6 dash 7, 8, 9 and 3, 4, 5, 6. That ends up being my wife. And if I come in here and I say hello and I click deposit, nothing happens. See that? But if I come in here and I try to deposit a negative amount, so negative $234. You see what I get? Illegal deposit, 0 or negative amount attempted. You see that?
Yeah.
Well, the reason when I put hello in there, the reason that nothing happened is that what I did here was I put this in a try catch. And I said, that means try everything in here, keep going all the way until you get down to here. So this is the try catch. So in other words, come in here and have a local variable called the deposit. Set that equal to whatever amount you passed in up here. All right. If it's less than or equal to 0, give that message. All right. That's the one that you already saw. Okay. And then return. Okay. Does that make sense? But if I did put something in that was, I just did this with an if statement. So it's a try block, but it's an if. I don't think this is ever getting hit. All right. Notice how it says attempt to deposit 0 or negative amount. This one says 0 or negative amount in parentheses. See which one of these is getting hit. It's got the one in parentheses, 0 or negative amount. So in other words, this one is getting hit, but the catch statement isn't even getting hit. So I can remove that. All right, that's what I'm just trying to show you right here. All right, so let's put this in English, what we're attempting to do. All right, I'm glad that isn't my dog. So,
No, sorry, that's mine.
no, that's okay. It's not bothering me any. So I'm doing a try catch in here. I'm passing in an amount. I'm setting that amount equal to a local variable. If that amount is negative, I'm doing this. I could have gone in and tried to parse it. Remember what parsing is? I could have attempted to take that and convert it into a number, but I didn't. I probably should have, but I didn't. All right. But if it's a negative amount that we put in, it's going to print this out. So if we get down to here, all we're doing is we're adding whatever, it was a positive amount. So whatever we tried to add, we're adding it to our balance. What does that mean? That means if I come in here and I type in 123-456-789 and tab 3456 and hit enter, that means if I put in here $2,500 and I click deposit, that should go to 12,500. And it does. Now, if I go in here, I'm just going to remove this manually. But if I go in here and now I remove $12,000, it let me withdraw it. Now, if I remove $500, let's do 450. Notice now I've got 50. Well, I want to get rid of those last 50. And you notice it doesn't let me because now I'm falling under the minimum balance. Does all that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So this is how I did it, even though it's simplistic. And what you'll find is the other one is doing it without a try catch. I thought I put one in for both, but I didn't. All right. If I try to withdraw a negative amount, whoops, well, that wasn't good, was it? Let's bring the other one back. So if I come in here and I try to withdraw a negative amount, So I put it here, negative $340, and I click withdraw, nothing happens. Oh, I'm wrong. See that? It added to my balance. So there's an error in there. We'll fix the error as we go through this in just a minute. All right. So let's look at this one first. This is the make deposit. I'll let you start typing that in. All right. And let me know once you're down to right here, line 83 on mine. So please update your make deposit if you wrote one so it looks like this. Is that big enough? I made the screen a little smaller so I could get the whole thing in there. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Again, let me know when you're done. You've got all this on the screen typed in, please.
Do we need to have something at the top of this to get that message box to work?
Yeah, I'm having the same problem.
Yeah. It's using system.windows.forms. And again, you're both smart enough to realize this, but I put those comments in so you would be able to understand what was going on. Whether you choose to put those comments in or not is up to you, not me. This is not actually correct anymore, so change that to this. There we go. And just so you know, I'm looking at this now. I really could have just used a mount here. I could have left this line out and put a mount right there. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. All I'm telling you is, if you ever inherit anyone else's code as a programmer, you might look at it and go, why the heck did you do this? And the short answer is because I did. It's like, hey, I was coding it and that's the way it came to me. All right. Again, once you get to about here on line 87 on mine, please let me know. Because afterwards, there's just the return, and then you're ending the try part. And I'll show you the catch in just a minute. I think the catch is just return now. Yep. So we're just going to change that to exception, and we're just going to say return.
Under the comment that says if we get to here the deposit amount was valid, I have an error where it says underscore balance.
Here?
Yeah. It just
All right.
says a read-only field cannot be assigned to except in a constructor or variable.
No,
initial.
that's because up here, you were not supposed to say read only here.
Okay.
That's why we left the read only off. So go back to that line and change it to just private decimal underscore balance. That
Okay.
should fix it.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Are you caught up, Angie?
Yes.
All right. So now in our try block, all that's left here is just the return. See that? And then the end of the try. Make it a little smaller, but all right. So you see there's the whole thing. I'll make this bigger. So you just have to add the return, then there should be the curly brace. Then just say catch, exception, return. So if anything went wrong, forget about it. Just return. That may be the safest way of doing it. If this was for a real bank and it was at an ATM or something, then what we might end up doing is giving them a receipt telling them that it was an invalid transaction or something, right? We could have put we could have put some kind of a message box in here that said invalid, attempt made or whatever. I just left it off. Are you all caught up? Are you all down to the withdrawal?
Yes.
All right, don't start typing yet, because what I should have done here is what I did up here. I should have put it in a try and I should have checked to make sure that the deposit was great. You know, if it was less than or equal to 0, I shouldn't have allowed it. So I'm going to grab this code. You remember when you look on the screen right now, what you don't want is this, because otherwise I'm walking into the bank. Three, four, five, six. Now I'm walking into the bank and I want to make a withdrawal of negative one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative $1 million. Now look at my balance. I'm a happy guy. Right now our program lets us do this and it shouldn't. So we're going to change this. And I'm going to change this. I want to make sure it works first. So we'll leave this. Let's see. Try. All right, decimal temp here. I'm first going to come in and now I'm going to check for a negative withdrawal amount. So if the withdrawal, oh, that's that amount. If the amount here is less than 0, now it'll say illegal withdrawal attempted. All right, and illegal withdrawal right here. All right, but then we return. Otherwise, we want to come through here, and now we do want to say this. That just should say temp. And now temp is the balance minus the amount. If it's less, if we still have that, otherwise, okay, so all of this should go into the try. I'm going to try it when I get done to make sure it works. All right, so now we don't need this. Catch, exception. Return. All right, I think I've got one. Well, maybe it is correct. Now what I want to see is I want to make sure I didn't break anything. So 1, 2, 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 tab 3 4 5 6. There it is. If I try to put in a negative amount here, it shouldn't work, and it doesn't. All right. If I put in a positive amount, that worked just fine. Now, if I try to take out a negative amount, again, see, it doesn't work now. All right, but if I try to take out a positive amount, I'm 12,222. Now that worked. That makes sense to both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because it was wrong the way it was, and I don't want to give you wrong code. So here is the withdrawal. I'll tell you what, go up to here and let me know once you're there. All right. And I'm hoping we're done by 10:30 just because of the fact I've never made an MP4 before that's more than 2 hours. In fact, now that I think about it, we started at 8. So it is 2 hours. So this is going to be interesting as far as whether or not this tape's okay. And I know it sounds maybe silly or like I'm making it up, but I'm glad I screwed up. because it got a chance for me to show you, you know, the kind of bad things that can happen with wrong code. The bank isn't going to have money very long if it allows negative withdrawals.
Okay.
Are you both up to here?
Almost.
I am.
All right. I should have done a better job in here too of putting in a few more comments, but it is what it is.
Okay.
All right. I'm still in the try block in here. So all of this that's in here is in the try block. And then there's the catch. Okay. So you should be able to let me know once you're up to here where you finish the catch block. Just so you know too, if you didn't know this already, you're getting an email from me. You're going to get one every day that has the links to the presentations or today to the presentation that was made. All right. You're going to get one of those every day. And I'm also going to try to make sure I put that into the collaboration thing that's in there also. Yeah, that's the end of this. That's the end of the class, just so you see that.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, me too.
All right. Do a file save all. All right. And we can, for now at least, we can close this file. All right. And then I want you to open up the form1.cs, the code file. Yours won't look like mine, but it will in a minute. So I want you to open that one up, please. All right. And I'm taking for granted that you all either have Notepad++ or Notepad on your machine. You've got some kind of an editor. Is that fair to assume?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't mean Word. I don't want Word. I want there to be just a generic editor. Then grab everything that's in there, do a Control-A, Control-X, so you're removing all of it, and throw it into, you know, Notepad++ or whatever. Just in case when we do this, we run into an error, you can revert back to the original. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
We're doing this in the form.cs file, right?
That is correct. After you've done that, so I'm assuming now you've done that. So you've got an empty file in here. Don't run it or anything. It wouldn't make any sense right now. All right. But what I want you to do is to go to the email that I sent you during the break. During the break, I sent you an email. I probably shouldn't have called the file again form1.cs. I probably should have called it form1.txt or something. See if you can grab that file that I sent you during the break and save it to your desktop, then open it in the desktop, open it with Notepad or Notepad++, copy the whole thing into this blank file. Does all that make sense? Yes? No?
Yes.
All right. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Oops. So when you get done, at least mine has got 399 lines in it. Well, what the 399th line is blank. I'm hoping yours is the same then. Let me know once you're to that point, please.
So you wanted us to download this file and then do what with it again?
When I say download it, no, I want you to open it up in a cheap editor, Notepad or Notepad++. If you try to open it regular, it'll open it up in Visual Studio. If you've already done that, just copy it, but I want you to throw it into where we just removed the stuff from, into the form1.cs file that you just took everything out of. So you're replacing the old version, the non-OOP version, with this OOP version. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let me know when both of you when you've got it done. And if for some reason we got a problem, I'm just going to send you the whole flipping thing. All right, but I'm only going to send the whole flipping thing to people who were in class today. I'm not doing that to people who weren't in class.
Okay, I got it.
You have it yet?
Too, but I did something. Yeah, I have it. Excuse me, but I've done something wrong because I have errors throughout. So I copied or removed something that I shouldn't have.
Okay, all right. Let me just walk through this All right, because this is what I'm more concerned with right now. What's changed? Well, notice we've got a list again. But I couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't create the list right here. I had to create it in the form load, which is at the very bottom. So this is the same stuff that you had previously, but we did it previously as an array of titles, an array of first names, an array of last names, an array of account numbers, an array of PIN numbers, and an array of balances. Hopefully you're starting to see with what we've got here, boy, it's a little cleaner to do it this way. All right, you may agree with that, you may not. And what I did before was I just kind of prettied it up a little bit just so you could see what went with what. The problem with doing that though is it becomes kind of hard for you to read all of it on the screen unless I reduce the font size. All right. Do you understand though what we're saying is when you load these 5 things into memory, put our 5 customers in there. We right now don't have a means like we did with the terms. We don't have a means to add customers. That we'd have to put more code in, of course, for. All right. So we come in here in our global variables. That's going to be our list of accounts. What I tried to do in this program is keep as much of the old stuff in here as possible. In other words, I did a hell of a lot of work to verify, you know, if you put an empty thing in for a PIN or an empty for an account, I wanted to keep all that. It worked. So I want to show you what's been changed. All right. So as we go down, this has not changed. This has not changed. This has not changed. So let's get down to where it started to actually change. This didn't change. This didn't change. This didn't change. Like, Jeff, did anything change? Give me a second. All right. Now, we have to validate the account number and the PIN number. These have changed. I'm down on mine at least to line 124. But what I want you to understand is, what are we doing? We're going through a for loop again. We're telling it to get every account number we have, and we passed in this string. That's the account number that we added. That AN, that is this right here. And we're saying, does that equal anything that's in our current account numbers? If it does, it's now valid. And this was called, again, I probably should have made that true. It doesn't matter. But the point is, now what we're saying is, if you found the account number, good. And if you get down to the bottom, it wasn't there, bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the names probably could have been made bigger. Rather than validate account number, I should have called it like invalid account number. Then I could have returned false. You know, you get the idea. Then I did the same thing with the PIN. Notice it's get PIN. But we're doing the same type of thing. All right. Then didn't have to change this. Display bad account number PIN. Didn't have to change it. Didn't have to change clearing the login fields. Didn't have to change rewriting. I did have to change this. Look at this one. Get title, get first name, get last name, get balance. That is the message, that right there, this is the message that comes out when you run the program. That's this message right here. But I wanted to make sure that message updated. Whoops. So that's the message that's right here in the big green box. And I wanted to make sure that when we updated, so when we either added to our balance or subtracted from our balance, it was as up to date as it could be. But you notice how now we're calling get title, get first name, get last name, and get balance. Do you get that?
Yeah.
No pun
Yes.
intended. All right. And then in here, button deposit. Yeah, this is a little different. Not this one isn't. That's done the same way, but where we actually attempt to deposit. Notice what I did. Look familiar? It's pretty much what we did in the class. I'm telling it, hey, call that make deposit thing that we just added in our class, all right, and attempt to update our balance. Why? Because we're trying to make a deposit. And then once you've done that, rewrite that welcome screen so it has the new amount in it with the deposit we've just added. All right? And if there's any exception, just don't accept it. And then I did the same thing for the withdrawal. So what I wanted you to hopefully get out of this is to see how we are taking non-object oriented code and having it call stuff that's object oriented. Does that make a little sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Angie, take a look at it when you get done. This hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. This hasn't changed. Neither is this. And this, I told you at the bottom, yes, has. All right.
Okay.
So if you have to, Angie, clear it out again and try to bring it back in. If you have any errors, just email it to me, okay?
Okay.
All right? 'Cause I'll make sure that you get it. Now, we're almost done, but two more things, okay? First, please turn to the back of of page 1. Remember this ugly thing that we talked about? You both see it where it says store inventory group? You got that?
Yes.
The back of page 1. Well, I don't know if there was a one of those UML drawings in here with the gets and all that stuff, but I don't see one. So I'm going to have to go back and look at the original. And if there is a UML diagram that goes with this, I'm going to send it to you. All right, with it, and I'll have a note with it. But if it does, and if there's a class for this, I'm going to ask that by tomorrow morning you try to build that class. Now, tomorrow morning, I'm going to send you, I'll build the interface tonight. I will send you the interface, and then we will look at the class and the form1.cs file together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Egan? Okay. Then turn over the back of page 2, and I want you to be at where it says Lab 4 game break. You see that? In the
Yeah.
bottom right-hand corner, do you see the UML diagram with game underscore name underscore publisher, etc.? You
Yeah.
try to build that class for tomorrow morning. And the idea is hopefully tomorrow in our 2-hour, 2.5-hour, whatever it is window, we'll be able to do these two. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then Thursday, we'll do 5 and 6. So if you want to get ahead a little bit, you can try to build the classes for 5 and 6 if you want to. If you say, I don't want to, or I don't have the time, then don't do it. But what I'm going to ask is by the end of the week, you turn me in your copies of 1 through 6. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And again, on Thursday, what I'm hoping is I have some kind of a pretest written for you. I'll give that out on Thursday, and then we'll see how it works. I'll come and ask you on Friday morning, did you get a chance to look at it? And if you didn't, maybe I'll give you an hour or so to write it up, and then we'll go over that as a class. All right. And that should prepare you, hopefully, pretty well for the test that'll be Monday, the 30th. Any questions on any of that stuff?
No. So you'd basically just want us to go on lab 2 and create the classes And
No,
then
see, lab 2 right now, it didn't have a UML diagram. So I don't know
Okay.
what you're supposed to create. So I'm gonna go back and look. I'm thinking that when I copied this over, I might have screwed up and not copied the UML diagram. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna look and see if there is a UML diagram. If there is, I'm gonna email that to you right now. And then you can try to make the class off of that UML diagram. If there's not one, well, then we'll deal with that tomorrow. But I do want you to go look at number 4 and look at that UML diagram and attempt to make the class off of that. Did that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah, so basically just for right now, do number 4 if there
Yes.
isn't a UML for number
Yes.
2.
And I will look, and within a half an hour, I will hopefully have got something that I can send to you.
Okay.
All right? Unless you have any other questions, that's it. And I will see you then at 8:05 tomorrow. You'll have the same kind of thing. I think, I don't know if you agree, but I think this worked a lot better because you can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So I'm planning on continuing to do it this way. Somebody had sent me a link to like a mini Zoom tutorial, not for you guys, but it's for people who are doing the meetings. And I'm going to try to watch that by tomorrow. It's about a half an hour long. So maybe I'll even get something from that. If you have questions, email me. Keep looking out at your emails. And again, I'm going to try to keep updating that collaboration tab with all the emails as well. And so again, Friday, by the end of the day, we'll just say 4:30, I will expect that you will have turned in either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 done object oriented, or if we don't have classes for number 2, then it'll be just 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Are we all clear on that?
Yes.
All right, then I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Two.